Hi.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm fucking tired as hell.
Oh, so.
But we're here.
Well, we're here.
Because we love you all. Welcome back!
Welcome back,
Lionheart.
welcome back.
I knew you were going to say it. You guys, we're almost finished this book. We have one more episode left.
Morgan's finished reading. I'm not finished.
I'm sorry. Correction. I'm finished. I finished the book 2 days ago. But this bitch just refuses to catch up. So I can't even talk about shit with her.
I'm sticking to the rule that we had came up with when we first started this podcast.
Oh, please. Like, either of us followed those damn rules.
That is true.
So, yeah. I don't think we decided yet on what the next book was going to be.
We have contenders, but we haven't chosen which book we really want to do. So we haven't decided if we want to move away from Sarah J. Maas or if we want to jump into a different world.
Y'all are fucking killing me, bro.
Facts, yo. Because everybody named Mom. No, you gotta continue.
We literally put the poll up. I was like, oh, which one of these 4 books? And people were like, oh, I guess, this one. And then I was like, okay, just for shits and giggles, if we continued Sarah J. Maas. Oh my God, yes! Yes, continue Sarah J. Maas. Read Crescent City. Read A Throne of Glass. I'm like, oh, we're never going to escape this world. We're never going
to escape her world. We're going to be stuck.
Started something.
Let me apologize. Because I was the one that sat there and I was like, hey, this book is all over TikTok. Let's go ahead and read this. My fault.
Yep.
My bad.
What does Bella say? I don't regret the decision that brought me to Forks. AKA, I don't regret the decision that brought me to ACOTAR. It was the same decision that brought me to Cassian.
Facts. Cassian is, he's at the top right now. That's all I gotta say. Mm-hmm. He's at the top.
Yeah.
He is the epitome of book boyfriend right now. Book husband.
So really quick, fuck, marry, kill. Rhysand, Azriel, Cassian, go.
Oh, okay. Okay, wait. All right. I would marry Cassian most definitely.
Okay. Good call.
I would fuck Rhysand because I already know how he does his stuff due to the other books.
You would kill Azriel?
I would kill Azriel, not because I wanted to, but because I'm waiting for his book to pop off so that I know what he's into.
You know what? You need to finish the rest of this book and then go read Azriel's bonus chapter and then come back and talk to me.
Oh, God. I hate this. No, because she texted me. And I was like, this text just means that, like, Azriel's a freak. That's all I was like, this text
Girl,
just
and it's
means
like,
Az is a freak.
It's not anything that he does where it's like off the Richter scales, but I'm just like, oh, there's a lot of underlying.
I'm guaranteeing you it's the insinuation.
Underlying tension there that I want to get into.
Okay, all right.
Speaking of getting into things, let's go ahead and kick off the episode with the chapters that we read as we speak.
Okay.
Starting with chapter 57. So the time has finally come. It is the night of the Winter solstice. Jesus.
Words.
Winter solstice ball.
There we go.
In the hewn city. Damn it. And Nesta showed up and showed out.
Yo.
That gown.
The gown.
Let's just talk about the gown in itself, bro.
Yes.
I saw fan art that perfectly described what she was wearing. Baby girl looked good.
That was the thing, though. Because even Cassian was like, listen, everybody says Elaine is the epitome of beauty. However, in Night Court Black, Elaine is washed out. That was Cassian's words. She's washed out.
Baby is watercolors.
She watercolors. And he said, when you looked at Nesta looked like a queen. Looked like she should have been running her own court. And I was just like,
yes.
Oh my God.
So Nesta does end up enthralling Eris.
Yes.
And they dance and Eris is eating that shit up. He's like, oh, everybody says Elaine's the beauty, but here you are. Where have they been hiding you? Your talents are wasted here.
If only this man knew. Right.
Nesta gaslighting the fuck out of this man. But yeah, so to the point where from afar, Cassian thinks all this shit is too real. So he steps in and he's like,
leave. That was it.
Right. And then her and Cassian end up dancing. And of course, she's like, come on, you can't believe like that was actually real. Reese lets Cassian into his mind afterwards. And Eris is like, yeah, I want to make her my wife. You danced with her 3 times!
That's what Feyre said. Feyre was like, he only danced with her 3 times. What the fuck? But like, it was the fact being that before he even danced with Nesta, they provided him with one of the weapons that Nesta had made.
Yes.
And they were like, just to show our allegiance to you, here is something from our treasure. They didn't want to give away that Nesta can make stuff, right?
Right.
And so they were just like, yeah, we have it here in Human City. It's a part of the treasure, whatever. When he finally dances with Nesta, he comes back when Cassian interrupts. He comes back and he tells Reese, he's like, listen, y'all can have the dagger. I want the sister. I want the
that
chick.
Right there.
He's like, that's what I want.
That.
That's what I want.
Bro, how many marriage proposals have there been throughout this entire book?
Oh my God.
3 or 4? 4. I'm like,
God damn.
Nesta,
Right.
what are you doing to these men?
Right.
It's crazy. So at this point too, like you said, Feyre is freaking out. She's like, he's only danced with her 3 times. You're not seriously entertaining this, Reese, are you? But I'm like, y'all are the same people that asked her to do this.
Exactly. So, it made no sense. To me, I sat there, I was like, y'all stupid.
Exactly.
Like,
just fucking
stupid.
Dead dumb. Just stupid.
Oh my God.
And Reese entertains Eris about this for way too long for my personal liking.
Even Cassian was like, this has gone on too long.
Cassian also mentions that Eris has ulterior motives for wanting to marry Nesta.
Mm-hmm.
Could he know about her power, potentially?
I don't know. There's like, I feel like if Eris actually knew, he'd hint more at it.
Got you. So it's more so him being like, Cassian stole what was mine and now I'm going to steal what was his.
Let me be petty.
Yeah.
But also think about it, like, remember, they have to back him for his claim to the throne. So if you think about it, if he marries the sister of the lady of the Night Court, so it's really a political move if you think about it.
They'll always be allies.
Exactly.
She's not going to go against her kin.
No, not at all.
Damn.
Yep.
Sarah, I am once again asking for you to make this fucking story about Eris and what happened.
Please.
Once again, the girls have assembled. We need it.
We just need to know.
So that moves into chapter 58.
Yes.
And I believe this is the winter solstice, right?
Yeah, so this is basically the winter solstice of everybody gathering to give presents to each other. Cassian basically had Nesta come with him. They're not flying back to the House of Wind. Like, Cassian was like, listen, I'm planning to drink, so we're not flying back.
Don't drink and fly, kids.
Right, we're not doing that. So Nesta this time, because if we remember from the last book, Nesta was horrible in the last winter solstice. Like, she didn't speak to anybody really when she came in. She left after she got her money. That was the only reason why she came. And Cassian had bought her a present, and she basically told him, I don't want it. And he like threw it into the lake or the river, whatever. And it was like a sentimental gift, we find out later on. But like,
yeah,
it was so bad. This year, they've made up for it. And everybody's talking merrily and happy. And unfortunately, Amren and Nesta still have tension. They're still upset at each other. So they're completely ignoring each other.
Before we talk about Nesta and Lucian's exchange, can we please point out the fact that Nesta told Elaine, fuck you, and then was like, oh, I'm sorry.
Yes! So basically, they got into a little tiff or whatever, and Elaine was being super stupid. I fucking hate her. Basically, Nesta was like, she just out of the blue blurted out, oh, fuck you.
Yes! And Elaine just bust out laughing.
Nesta said it with no filter, realized what she said, and she's like, oh, I'm so sorry. Elaine was like, you've never told me to fuck off. She's like, I think you're getting better. I think you're becoming who you're supposed to become. Then they also hinted at the fact that when they had their little exchange, Azriel was peeking and making sure that there wasn't anything happening. And I was just like, this is not it for you, my guy.
Right. Like, why? Stop thirsting after this basic bitch.
This ain't it for you. I got somebody for you. as I have somebody for you. She has such a backstory, and she is prevailing, and she is becoming the woman she's supposed to become, and she is strong. You don't need little prissy flowery bitch. No.
Side note, Ashley also has ginger hair right now. But I wanted to really point that out because it really shows the growth.
Yes.
The emotional growth.
Yes.
Within Nesta.
Yeah.
That she, like, immediately has that sharp-witted tongue like she always had, and then she's like, oh shit, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do that. It's like, whoa, Nesta? Apologizing?
Right.
To people?
Right. That was the thing.
In person?
Exactly. Exactly. So she sits and she has a conversation with Lucian. Moore also jumps in. This was actually, I think, really interesting to watch because prior exchanges between all of these people was very tense. And now it wasn't. It was very laid back a little bit, very easygoing. And for Nesta, that's different. Like, she's never been like that, especially not with the inner circle.
Yeah.
They start exchanging gifts. Feyre and Elaine were the only ones to get Nesta gifts. Nesta hasn't been the most heartwarming, so it's not surprising that nobody else would have gotten her a gift. However, Az comes over to her and he gives her a small gift. And she looks up at him and she's very surprised and she's like, I didn't get you anything. And he's like, it's okay. And so she opens the gift and it's legit a little, like a little reader for the books, like a little light so that she can read at night. And she was so excited about it. She did something so uncharacteristically Nesta. She jumped up and gave him a hug. And that surprised everybody in the room. To me, Nesta and Az have what Feyre and Cassian have.
Once she got that threesome image out of her mind.
Right. Once she got that out of her head, she was like, all right, cool. But I think this is so nice, though. But for her to get along with Az, the most quiet out of the bunch.
To make a friend in the inner circle itself.
Yes. That would, to me, was just that little scene of her hugging him and him chuckling. That made me so happy. I was like, oh, this is it. I was like, this is progress. This is progress.
Give me more Azriel. Give me more Azriel, please. After all the gifts are exchanged and they go upstairs to go to sleep, Cassian goes to Nesta's room to give her his present separately because last time, as you remember, didn't go so well. So he ended up getting her what they call a symphonia, which is basically like an iPad or iPod.
Yeah, basically.
It's an iPod.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so it has all of her, like, all of this music recorded on it so she can play it wherever she goes. Mm-hmm. And she realizes all the work that he's gone through to get this gift
because he even had to go to the taverns. He had to go to the taverns to get the music. He was hunting.
He couldn't just make a mixtape. He couldn't just fucking plug it up. He had to go to each individual spot and be like, play me this song. But yeah, he put his work in for this gift, and she's like, I can't accept this. And then, of course, they end up getting into a fucking argument.
This shit broke my heart.
Oh my God,
broke
yes.
my heart. And then Sarah shattered it. She shattered my heart. Because then we went in and Nesta was like, no, you're too good for me. And then she listed everything why he was too good for her. And I was just like...
I know. I was like, baby girl, no.
I was like, guys. I was like, this ain't it.
It was crazy, yeah. So she's like, it's kind of what we thought and knew to be true a little bit beforehand. Because it's like, she's like, I don't deserve good things. I'm not worthy of love. And so he basically is like, throw that bullshit out the door.
We're done.
We're done with that.
Yep.
There will be no one else for either of us. And the mating bond!
It snapped into place. But
I
think this is interesting because if we remember how Feyre and Rhys's mating bond snapped into place, it was different, right?
Yeah.
With Nesta and Cassian, their mating bond snapped into place almost as if it was like musical. She equated it to like music, like melody. And I was just like, oh, this I like.
Right.
This
like
is different.
Right.
Yeah.
And as they're making love for the first time.
It wasn't what they usually were doing. This was actually making love. Yeah.
It was so, oh my God, my fucking heart. It was so beautiful. It was so beautiful.
Yeah.
I think that the mating bond was like literally waiting for her walls to come down.
Yes.
And then I think it also depends on like the person and the person that they are. For how that mating bond snaps into place and what they see when it snaps into place. But
I agree.
Honestly, it was more beautiful than Face and I don't care. Fight me. Like
no, I fucking agree. I agree. This description of the mating bond made me sit and be like
I know.
like, oh.
And then on top of that, he's like, say it. I need to hear you say it.
Yes!
She's like, you're mine and I am yours. I was like, ah! And they cuddle.
Right. She actually asks him to stay. She's like, could you stay? And he was like, bet.
Like, shit, ask me twice.
We move on to chapter 59, and this is like the aftermath of everything that happened the night before. So Nesta wakes up, she's like cocooned and cuddled up with Cassian, and she's like so happy. And he wakes up, and they do a lot more spicy stuff. They do way more spicy stuff. But then
he's like, oh shit, I'm late.
Right. Like the White Rabbit in Alice in Wonderland.
Right.
He was like, oh shit, I'm late for a very important date. Like,
right. And she was like, where are you going? Snowball fight. And she literally had the same face as Feyre. You grown ass men are going to have a snowball fight?
Yup.
She's like, yes, I never win.
Basically, he's like, I haven't won in decades. Like, I gotta win this time.
Illyrian babies.
Facts. Facts. But here's one thing that he says that kind of like throws off some stuff. So he tells her he has to do a comprehensive inspection of the legions in Illyria for a few days and that he won't be back. To me, I'm like, why not?
Bruh, that's what I was thinking too, but it does get explained
later on.
Later that he's like, I didn't want to like
scare you,
smother you with the mating bond, and I didn't want to scare you with the mating bond. And for good reason, because we know Nesta can be kind of finicky sometimes.
True. But this time though, because the mating bond snapped into place during winter solstice, this bitch was fiending.
Oh my god, yes! She was asking Azriel, when will he be back?
Azriel was done.
Is he back now?
Azriel's face,
like, bro.
Come on, yo. Like, he was like, really?
Azriel's like, if you ask me about Cassie one more time, I'm gonna make you do 500 push-ups. Stop fucking with me. Stop. Just stop. I also thought it was very cute in this chapter that Nesta is so lonely without Cassian, and she's like, I'm gonna invite my girls over for a sleepover, and they have a sleepover in the House of Wind.
But this, to be honest, this was the sisterly stuff that she should have been doing with Feyre and Elaine, and she got to do it with Gwen and Emery, and it bonded them even more.
It did, and I felt like that was a really important thing to have, because we already know that they bonded through their trauma and they bonded through training, but just to see them kind of like, relax and be with each other, it was really sweet.
There is something though that was important in this chapter when they're doing that. They make bracelets with charms. The tradition is that you take the bracelet and each one of them makes a wish or something upon the charm for that person that you're giving the bracelet to. What Nesta does is Nesta grabs all the bracelets and the charms and she holds them, and she literally says, I wish for us to have the courage to go out into the world when we are ready, but to always be able to find our way back to each other no matter what. And Nesta says that when she opens her palms and she looks at the charms, they actually look like they're glowing.
Bitch is creating all types of goddamn magical objects without meaning to.
Unintentionally! This bitch is just creating all types of magical objects, yo.
I never knew. So that moves us on to chapter 60. Cassian and Azriel are watching as Gwen tries to cut the ribbon. And Nesta and Emery are piping her up.
They are so supportive. I was like, yes.
Do it for what did they say? Do it for the unicorn or some shit like that. Whatever llama, unicorn, or whatever they had wished into the House of Wind. And Cassian's like, the what?
No, a miniature Pegasus. It was a miniature Pegasus.
Miniature Pegasus. Do it for the Pegasus, bitch. And he's like, did I miss something?
My mans, you was gone for 5 days. Yes. Yes, you missed stuff.
But as Gwen is like preparing to cut it, Cassian mentions that the world kind of shifts in this moment, and that this is something that will be remembered for the rest of time, something that he'll be talking about to his kids and grandkids. He felt a shift between all three of those ladies too. I think in that moment they like solidified that very sisterly Valkyrie bond.
Yes.
And fucking Gwen cuts the ribbon and a new Valkyrie. First one. Now tell me, Azriel, that's not a bad bitch.
That right there. That's who you need to end up with.
I don't understand how you don't see. I know you see it. But yeah, so Gwen cuts it first, then Nesta takes the ribbon and crowns her. She's like, I knight you, Valkyrie.
Yes, yeah. And then it becomes a tradition. And so then Emery does it, and Nesta is the last one to become Valkyrie.
And of course, because all of them bitches cut the ribbon, training becomes so much more intense.
10 times worse. 10 times worse.
You know what I imagine? The fucking, the training, what is it? The training obstacle course from Hercules?
Oh my God, with Phil.
Yes. That's what these bitches were doing.
Yes, that's exactly what they were doing. But it was, so basically what they did was Cassian watched them become Valkyries. And then the next day when they showed up, there was a whole new training ground. Gwen, after becoming Valkyrie, was like, we got this. We fucking totally got this. They did not have it.
They did not have it.
They did not have it. However.
3 months later.
Wait, no. However, if you guys remember, if you're reading the book, Gwen was obsessed with cutting that ribbon.
Oh, yeah.
So, when Az came out of nowhere and they had this whole new obstacle course, Gwen was like, well, what's our prize if we make it to the end? And Az was like, we don't suspect you guys are going to make it to the end, so we didn't even come up with a prize. So, when they didn't do it, when they couldn't get through it, Nesta was like, Az, you the new ribbon. Yeah! I was like,
She patted him on the back and everything, like, ooh, you don't even know what the fuck you just started.
I was like, damn.
They do finally complete the course months later.
Yeah.
And Azriel and Cassian actually mentioned to them, because Lord Devlin is there, he actually mentioned, so yeah, the prize is that this was the blood right qualifier. So you are now qualified to participate in the blood right. And I was like, first of all, nobody wants to participate in fucking blood right. Let's start right there.
Facts.
But it does mean that they are skilled enough warriors.
Exactly.
And that you should put some respect, not with a T, with a C, respect on their name.
Exactly. That's what Cassian was trying to prove. Also, just to give you guys another, interesting tidbit, they were actually practicing on how to get to the mountain, for the blood right without even knowing. And they passed that shit. If you think about it, Cassian ultimately says, he's like, look, you might not be recognized as Illyrian warriors, but you are just as good as any Illyrian warrior.
It was a very satisfying moment.
Yes,
for all 3 of them.
Even reading it, I was like, this is satisfying as fuck. These bitches is just...
Tell me why. I read this and I immediately was like, so where can I find Valkyrie training programs?
There's a TikToker.
I have the wooden practice sword.
There's a TikToker.
There is?
There's a chick on TikTok who
Send her to me.
She does,
what's her name?
I gotta find it. She does mini videos of Valkyrie training. Of what you need to do at the gym to train like a Valkyrie.
Because bitch, when I tell you, Markel got a wooden sword. They sent him a wooden sword from his job. And I was like, you know what I'm going to be doing with this, right? Hit the target. Backhand flip.
The 8-pointed star got you.
The 8-pointed star, bitch. So we move on to chapter 61. And Nesta is now trying to make the most out of her newfound life. And she's finding that she has purpose. She actually is able to make it down all 10,000 steps again. Woo! And back up all 10,000 stairs.
Yes.
And Cassian, of course, is waiting for her at the top like, I'm so proud of you. They go to Starfall together.
Yeah.
And it's so sweet. It's so sweet. I almost fucking cried. Nesta also does something that is, again, uncharacteristic for her. When she's out there and she's looking at the stars and stuff and she's reaching up and touching it, she's actually laughing. Amren comes out and she's like, that's a sound I never thought I'd hear from you. Nesta drops to her knees and apologizes to Amren.
This was so good. And Amren forgives her. Amren says, basically, I understand. It's fine. She's like, I've taken a walk through this house. She's like, you've made it what it is. And basically what we realize is the house never really had a personality. It was Nesta who gave it a personality. Her powers gave it life because when she came to the House of Wind, she was so lonely and in need of a friend that her powers developed the personality for the house and gave her a friend.
It was so cute.
And that's what Amren says. Amren's like, I love what you did with the house. I was like, oh my God.
I know. I was like, I'm going to die of
I was like,
joy.
if the story couldn't get any better, it just keeps getting better and better. I know. The best part out of that chapter was this line. welcome back to the Night Court.
I was like, let's go rebuilding friendship.
Right.
Knowing when we were wrong and apologizing for our wrongdoing.
Exactly.
So much emotional growth.
Yeah, oh my God.
So much emotional growth.
This character has had the most growth.
Yes.
Out of every character that we've read about throughout the entire series so far, Nesta has had the most emotional growth, physical growth, character growth that I have ever seen out of any character.
She's honestly, like, legit my favorite character out of this entire series. And it's like, I connect with her on such a different level.
Exactly.
I never fucking thought.
Me either, especially way back in ACOTAR when we were talking shit.
Right.
I was like...
Right, it's like, bitch, cut the firewood. She asked you to cut the firewood. But yeah, she's a completely different person now. And I love that growth that we've been able to see with her. But Sarah, you have done a phenomenal job with this character, and I cannot thank you enough.
Same.
We move on to chapter 62, and we're 2 months away from Feyre's due date, but still have no progress on how to help her. It's not looking good for her.
No.
Nesta and Cassian also go to meet Eris.
Yeah.
And this part did annoy me a little bit, because Eris is trying to tell them, do not go for the crown, okay?
He was trying to help them.
And Cassian and Nesta like, yeah, fuck you. We don't have to listen to you. Like, I was like, oh, y'all, he's trying to be an ally.
Which is what he is.
Right. And it's like, normally, I'm all on that, like, page. Like, yeah, toy with Eris. He's an asshole. But them threatening to expose the alliance and pretty much telling him, like, we don't need you. Like, that's not smart. You do. You do need him.
Exactly.
Like, then they get back to Valaris. Cassian and Nesta are walking through the city together. Cassian tries to show her a little PDA, and she's like,
she can't handle it.
Right. Which prompts another fucking argument. I'm just like, facepalm. Oh my God. Like,
hold on. Because then this argument gets out of hand. This argument could have been, 1, prevented, but 2, it got out of hand because Cassian, knowing how Nesta is, should not have been pressing her for the specific word he wanted her to say. And she didn't want to say it. And I understand her reasoning because she explains to him, I didn't grow up, like, knowing what that word meant or, you know, thinking that word meant everything. She's like, to me, growing up, husband and wife was as good as you got.
So my thing is like, then why not say, let's have a wedding?
Because Cassian didn't grow up like that. Cassian grew up with the word mate.
It's a compromise because she wasn't always Fae.
Yeah, but now she is Fae. And so he figured that she, you know, training and things like that. Again, as you had told me earlier, what does assume do? It makes the ass out of you and me. That's essentially
more so you than me, but yeah.
But that's essentially what would happen, though. Like, basically, they're not seeing eye to eye on how that word means to each other. And he flips the fuck out. And, like, what ends up happening is he gets so angry that he's like, you know, you promised me forever on Solstice. And then she says, I don't know what I want. I didn't have a choice. She's talking about herself turning high fae. And then he says, well, I didn't have a choice to be shackled to you either. When he used the word shackled, that's what Nesta heard. She heard ball and chain. Cassian immediately knows he did wrong. He's like, that was a very poor choice of words. That's not what I meant. And I give it to her though, because she could have turned around and she could have ripped him a new one. She chose not to. She decided to call in her favor.
Yeah. She's like, go to the House of Wind for the night and don't talk to me until I decide to talk to you. So he's like, okay, I'm in the House of Wind for the night. And then when I get to her, I'm going to prompt her into an argument and then I'm going to tell her I'm sorry.
That was his fucking plan. I was like,
what? So I was just like, but again, the growth in this moment.
Right, because like I said, she could have ripped him a new one. She
could have. And it was so easy. She felt it rising on the tip of her tongue, but she's like, no. Instead, I'm going to do this.
Right.
So she ends up getting more to winnow her to Windhaven so that she can see Emery.
Yep.
And then more even winnows in
Gwen.
which
Gwen
is a
made it out of the
really
library.
big deal. Gwen made it out of the library. She's like, please don't keep reminding me, y'all, because it's already.
But I'm here for my friend. I'm here for my sister. I'm here for my girl.
Right, I'm here for my sister. Like,
Yep.
some people are more important than my fear.
I was like, Gwen.
Yes.
And then I sat there and I was like, Az, do you see this shit? Do you see this shit? Like, do you see this?
Right. You have stale bread and cheese on one side. And then you have honey and fruit and wine.
Fruit. And all types of delicious
Your cup
stuff.
runneth over with Gwen. What are you doing?
Yo.
So, but side note again. So they stay there for the night, and then some Liam Neeson taken shit happens. And Nesta can hear Gwen and Emery scream and then go silent. And she wakes up, she sees somebody standing over her. Baby girl's like, she's putting up a fight, but they pretty much like, they hold, I think, what is that?
It's like chloroform.
Yeah, like chloroform.
Yeah.
Yeah, they knock them out. And I don't know about you, but my immediate thought was like, oh my God, they're taking them to the blood right.
That's the same thing I thought. I was like, the moment that, because immediately when she's okay. So immediately when this happened, I was like, oh shit, they're probably at the blood right. Then the next chapter confirmed it. And I was like, yo.
Yes, get the 63. And Cassian's like, I went to Windhaven to apologize. And Reese is like, they're not here. Bruh. I was like, Sarah. What the fuck? It's like she always does this. We're going one direction and then at the end she completely changes route and fucks up my emotions.
Thanks.
I was like, this is some bullshit.
Then we move on to part 4. How do you say her sword's name?
Athoraxia.
There we go. So we move on to part 4 and then we move on to chapter 64 and it's Nesta waking up basically at the blood right. She's in a fucking field of not dead bodies that are knocked the fuck out who are going to participate in the rite. She is the only female. And guys, she's in a nightgown.
And it's fucking winter.
It's winter.
I was so pissed off. And the fact that they're talking about like, Cassian was like, I'm going after them. I don't care. I'm going after them. Reese is like, we literally can't. Whoever goes in there and tries to take a soldier out or whatever from the blood rite is immediately on the hit list.
Yep.
And so is that person that they took out. And Reese is like, I can't even fix that role. I was like, why fucking not? You're the goddamn High Lord of the Night Court. This is so fucking stupid.
I don't know.
It's stupid.
I'm assuming it's the same situation as like the wing clipping. He tried to fix it for the females, but like because it's an Illyrian rule and they not technically govern themselves, but like they really could give two shits about Reese. It's more of an understanding. I think that's what it is.
He does know that he's a demate?
Yeah.
A potato. I don't know what the fuck it's called. He does know that he can easily slip into people's minds and make them do what the fuck he wants to do, right?
Yeah, but he doesn't want to always do that. He wants to gain his respect.
I don't give a shit. Nesta is in trouble. I don't care. He would have done it for Feyre. Do it for Nesta.
Now that's interesting. That is very interesting. If the situation was reversed and it was Feyre who was in the blood rite.
He damn sure would have went in there to get Feyre. Rules and consequences be damned. We know that for a fact. So the fact that you're not willing to help your brother whose mate was just kidnapped is bullshit to me.
So basically that's what happened from Cassian's point of view. Nesta, after waking up, she's not the only person who woke up. Another guy wakes up. Also, these motherfuckers separated them. Nesta's in one area, Emery's in another area, and Gwen is in an entirely different area.
Just like what they did to Reese and Cassian and Azriel.
Yep. That's when the other guy shows up, or wakes up, I mean, and he immediately looks at her, and then they both look over because there's actually a dagger sticking out of the tree. Somebody sabotaged this blood rite. They put weapons out there, and they weren't supposed to.
So I was like, okay, obviously, somebody clearly wants these girls dead.
Yes.
And so I thought to myself, maybe it was Lord Devlin, but I was like,
same.
I don't know.
Same.
I don't know if he would do that and then have to deal with the consequences of Reese and Cassian for his actions. Especially Cassian. Oh my God. I want Cassian to rip them all to shreds.
Exactly. We go back to Cassian, and he's basically having an argument with Reese. Like, they're trying to tell him, look, Eris was kidnapped by Brillopad. So
I don't give a damn.
Right? That's what Cassian said. He's like, I don't give a damn.
This affects me how?
Right. So basically they tell him, they're like, look, we need you to go with Az because Az can't go by himself. So Cassian looks over and he pulls a Nesta back when Nesta tells Feyre, well, why can't you go? He pulls a Nesta and he's like, Rhys, why can't you go? So as we all remember in the previous book, Rhys and Feyre basically made a suicide bond. If one dies, the other dies. They didn't tell the rest. They didn't tell the rest of the court.
These fucking
So
idiots.
basically, this is where it comes out. When they say this, Amran is like, y'all fucking idiots. Like,
honestly, if Amran is not there to supervise, don't do it.
Right!
Because
right! If Amran doesn't approve, don't do it. It's not
I am
worth
so
it.
sick of the goddamn stupidity, bro. So sick of it.
That was basically Amran. She was like, okay, this is what we're gonna do. She's like, Cass, you go with Az because obviously, as they kept discussing with him, there's not much you can do. And then Amran was like, and you two idiots, we're gonna go back to we're gonna go back to the to the house and fucking figure out how to undo the stupidity that y'all just did. No.
Oh my fucking god. It was ridiculous.
So going back to Nesta, she kills the dude. She gets the dagger. Steals his clothes because she's like, fuck this nightgown.
Right. And she drops it on his face like, here you go. You can have it now.
I was like, that's a power move right there.
I was like, let's fucking go, Ness.
And then I think this is when she decides, all right, she's going to go find her friends.
So she realizes that the bracelets, they actually do have magic in them. And they're kind of like beacons, like a Find My Friends app on your wrist.
Yeah.
She is now making her way north to find whoever is there and to help them.
And that's chapter 65.
Yeah, 65. Sorry, they kind of blend together.
So then we move on to chapter 66. Nesta has been captured, kind of. The guy's like, give me your weapons. And she kills this guy. She takes his bows. And then she keeps moving. Finds a group of guys who are talking about, it's a pity we lost this chick. And she notices that they had mentioned that Emery probably died in the rapids. Mm-hmm. So she starts making her way further down trying to see. Wouldn't you know it, Emery's at the bottom, passed out. So Nesta makes her way down there. She's able to get to Emery.
I wanted to mention that when she does get Emery, she runs into another guy who, surprise, surprise, doesn't actually want to kill her. He's like, I'm not stupid. I know who the fuck you are.
Or doesn't want to do anything else to her.
Exactly. And so they kind of team up to find a cave to sleep in for the night.
His name is Balthazar.
That's an old ass name.
They end up finding a cave. Balthazar basically tells her, because Emery is still in a nightgown. And so she needs clothes and shoes and stuff, right? Night falls, and they hear the animals ripping into the Illyrians all through the night. When they wake up, Balthazar is like, well, there's going to be plenty of clothes now. You can have your pick. I was
you can even, those boots are too big for you. You can get a small pair of boots now. Plenty of boots on the ground.
I was like, damn, yo.
I'm kind of wondering, is he going to come back? Like, are we going to see him again?
I would hope so. I think so.
Yeah.
Because I feel like Sarah J. Maas doesn't just name a side character without giving him some type of purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm going to assume that in the next book, he will show up. Then we do end up back with Cassian, and as Cassian is just not, this was the wrong mission to send Cassian on at this point in time.
Right. You're asking him to go and sit still and spy on somebody while his mate, his newly mated self, is worrying about his mate who was kidnapped and thrown into a Hunger Games competition.
Basically.
Whose idea was this?
What comforts him is he knows that if she did die, he would know. So that's what's comforting him so far right now, is just knowing she's still alive. If anything,
he taught her well.
Exactly. That's what's comforting him. Then we move back to Nesta. Emery is awake. They're like, okay, where's Gwen? Gwen is to the south, which is the last little bit. And they notice before that charm was flickering. Now it's glowing. So they're like, shit, Gwen is in trouble. It's time. We gotta go. And so they're like, we have to hurry. And then we move on to chapter 67.
Before we get to chapter 67, I just thought of something.
What?
Are these bitches charmed? Boom.
Oh, wait, there was a Balthazar character in Charm too, the old one.
Really?
Yeah.
That's why I was like, it's an old ass name. Ha ha.
Yep. We see you, Sarah.
Bitch.
We see you.
Right. You're not slick.
Nah.
Sarah.
So then we move on to chapter 67. And basically, Emery and Nesta come upon a group of guys. And Nesta is looking at one of the guys and she's like, this motherfucker looks so fucking familiar. Where the fuck have I seen him? That was her thought process.
Surprise, surprise. It's Emery's fucking cousin.
What was his name? Bellis?
Bellius?
Or something like that?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Belly. I think it's Bellius.
Yeah.
Or Belias.
Oh,
Fuck it.
Belias?
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
So basically, what happens is they see a nightgown hung up in a tree. And immediately Nesta's like, oh shit, they've done something to her. Like, they've done something to Gwen. They end up getting captured by this group of people. What ends up going down when they're about to, like, go in on Emery and Nesta, Gwen shows up to the side and she's like, come here! And this fucking monster pops out of nowhere. And he's eating the fucking Illyrians left and right. I was like,
bruh.
Like,
yes.
the
They're finally reunited. And she was like, yeah, I came upon the monster, I think yesterday, because it's been at least 3 days now on their way to go find Gwen.
Yeah, exactly.
And she's like, I came upon the monster the other day. They really don't like being woken up.
They angry.
They only come out at night, but they really get pissed off when you wake them up. So I let his ass straight here. I was like, I fuck with Gwen so heavy.
Same.
But they're like, they have to last 4 more days now. And Gwen is so surprised. She's like, you guys came for me? And Emery's like, that's what sisters do.
Yes.
Where am I? I want to be a Valkyrie. Oh, I was going to just point out really quick that Nesta mentions that Bellius, he does mention that the weapons and the blood right, they were a sabotage. He's like, oh, I wouldn't call it sabotage, and neither would she. And immediately Nesta is like, Nesta was like, she noticed his eyes were hazy, and she was like, oh shit, Brillo got to him. But my thing is like, how? How did she?
No, but it's explained because Nesta says it was mentioned earlier. He flew out to the continent. So she says he flew out to the continent, and Brillo Pad probably intercepted him and then sent him back on his way.
Gotcha. Yeah. Okay, that makes sense for something that comes up later, too.
So in chapter 68, they get into a tree. Emery's like, is this safe? You know the creatures can climb, right? Like, they was taking these Illyrians out left and right, like if it was apple trees and shit. And I was like, yo.
Like, Emery, please.
Can
not
you
right
not?
now.
Can you not, Emery?
Emery also gives them a history lesson about, I think it's Annalius, who was the first powerful Illyrian warrior.
Yep.
And they said apparently the blood rite is in honor of him. But it's Illyrians killing each other, not fighting against another enemy. So I'm confused. I'm very confused.
But the Illyrians are a backward ass culture, so
we're gonna fight to the death to honor this person who fought to the death, their enemy. So we're gonna kill each other. I'm like,
make it make sense.
Okay, cool.
Make it make sense.
But in this chapter, we also have their fight scene against the Illyrians at the bridge, and I was like, let's fucking go.
I pictured that shit so hard. It was so
if
good.
I didn't want to be a Valkyrie before, bitch,
Wanna
make
be
me
one
a Valkyrie
now.
Bruh, it was so incredibly detailed and so incredibly fast paced. I loved it.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you for that.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for that. Because that shit, I mean, I hated you a couple chapters before for doing this to me. But now I'm just like, but this shit right here? This shit right here? So they're doing their thing, and then we switch to Cassian's perspective at the castle.
He's like, we've been sitting on our asses for 4 fucking days. I'm tired of this shit.
Right. And they actually do catch Eris. He comes out of the castle, and he's riding on his horse, not as a prisoner.
Cassian was pissed.
He was livid. I was thinking to myself, okay, it can't be that simple.
No.
It can't be. Then we get back to the girls.
Oh, yeah. So as they're making their way to the bridge, Gwen gets shot in the thigh. But these bitches
They are the baddest bitches.
On the bridge, Gwen's telling them to cut it. But before they did that, they roped themselves to each other or something and were able to rope to a tree. And like, so when Nesta cuts the bridge and they fall, they have something to help pull themselves up. The rest of the Illyrians, they done fell to their deaths. They've gone. They were like, no.
Oh my God.
Splat.
I loved it. It's like, wee.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, so they end up saving Emery, or not Emery, they end up saving Gwen. They do make it to the base of Ramiel.
Yes.
And they're all comforting each other. They're all telling each other's story. We actually get to hear Gwen and Emery's full stories.
This was so bad, so bad, so bad.
Bruh.
So, and I'm gonna give forewarning now because her story is kind of graphic a little bit and very trigger warning.
Yeah.
Gwen basically says that Hybern soldiers came to the temple. Gwen's twin sister, Catelyn, told Gwen, get the children out of here. And she was able to get them to the secret passageway. If she would have went with the kids, they would have found the latch and they would have followed them. So instead, Gwen closes the latch, covers the secret passageway. At that point, when she turns around, the hybrid soldiers are in the kitchen with her. Gwen, being brave and strong, she's not giving up these children. And they behead her sister in front of her. And then the hybrid commander or whatever comes in and he has his soldiers hold Gwen down while he rapes her. And unfortunately, Gwen tells Emery and Nesta that was her first time. She had never slept with a man before.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, her first time was a horrific experience. And then she says that the hybrid soldier, when he was done, basically commanded the rest of his soldiers to continue. And when they were about to continue, that's when Az showed up. And Az slaughtered everybody. And she said it took her months, I think, to actually speak. And they actually do have therapy at the temple. You talk to other priestesses.
Yes. I saw that and I was like, okay.
So there is therapy.
Yeah.
So she did talk to another priestess who I guess is kind of similar to a therapist about her situation. And then what Feyre and Rhys decided with Nesta is basically what Chloe decided for Gwen. How Feyre and Rhys wanted Nesta to focus on something to help her. That's what Chloe basically did for Gwen. And then she says, then Nesta showed up. And she realized the reason Gwen signed up for the training was because she was like, my sister would have signed up.
She was like, she would have been the first one. And it's the same with Emery as well. She tells the story about her father being very abusive to her mother. And then when her mother died, he actually killed her mother.
Yeah.
And had her bury her mother's body.
Mom!
Yeah. And then once her mother was gone, he started taking out his anger on her. And so she was like, never again am I going to go through that. Like, this is why we train. This is why we fight. And they're going to try to win this thing just to show themselves that they can do it.
And I was like, oh, yes, my girls. I was so excited after that.
This book is giving me all the feels. It's been throwing me for a loop, like up and down.
I was like, this is it. This is my favorite book. I could have ended it right there. I was like, this is it. That's it.
Legit. Like, out of all the, and I know people are like, oh, A Court of Wings and Ruin is my favorite. No, girl, it's this for me. It's this for me. And I'll stand by it, and I'll fight anybody who tries to tell me otherwise.
I will die on that mountain.
Bruh, I will die on top of that Ramiel for Nesta, bro.
Thanks.
So we get to chapter 69. The girls are making their way, trekking upwards, and then they see a little group behind them. Apparently, Bellius's dumbass has not died.
I hate this man.
He just, why won't you die? He's like the fucking cockroach that you keep hitting with the shoe, but it keeps moving. It just keeps twitching and shit. I'm like, oh my God. This was the chapter that it was, I believe, in between Nesta and Cassian's point of view. It was like Nesta's point of view.
Yeah.
Yes, it was Nesta's point of view for one paragraph, and then Cassian's point of view, and then Nesta's point of view. I was like, this is too much. It's too much back and forth. I know you're trying to like write it like it's a movie where they're having flashes between two things that are going on, but it was too much for me. But so they're going up the top of the mountain. Nesta knows that they won't make it because Gwen is injured. And Nesta's like, you guys have to go without me. Yeah. I'm going to stand here. I'm going to hold them off. And of course, it was very fitting that was the same place with
the bottleneck.
Analius.
Yeah, the
yes,
bottleneck.
Where Analius held off those soldiers. So Gwen, of course, is like, no, and Nesta's like, it's okay. Puts a pressure point on her neck and was like, go to sleep.
She's like, it's all right, sleep. I was like, oh. I was like, okay.
Nesta's kind of like, thank you for being the friends that I needed when I didn't deserve it. I was like, Nesta, you deserve everything. Stop it. Right. At the same time, Cassian and Azriel find out that Brillo has been having a control over Eris.
Yo.
He is being controlled. I was like,
I was like, okay. Alrighty.
Come on, bro. But actually, no. They say that they think it's Brillo, but it's actually Joe Pesci that's there.
That's right.
And Brillo together.
They're controlling him.
Yes. Yeah. I was like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. And then we get to
Chapter 70.
Nesta is defending the line like the true warrior that she is.
Cassian will be so fucking proud. So fucking proud.
So proud. And she's like, she calmed her mind, and we finally get the name for her sword. Athoraxia means inner peace.
That was it.
I was like, oh.
Okay, Nesta. Okay.
Nesta, I need you to survive, baby girl.
All right. It was very appropriate, like, because I remember when we heard the name or read the name, I was like, what the fuck does this mean? This has to mean something.
Right, and we should have known better than to assume that Sarah wasn't going to give us the meaning. She was just waiting for the right time.
Right, exactly. But it was such a fitting name for the sword after, like, reading everything, because the mind stilling is what helped her the most out of the Valkyrie techniques. So it was so fitting that the sword is called inner peace. Because that's ultimately what she found in the end. She found inner peace after all of the training and all of the work at the library and the stairs and things like that. Like, she found inner peace.
So, of course, because the chapter ended like that, I was just like, yeah, no. And I finished the rest of the book. So I don't have any predictions because I don't want to spoil it for you.
Honestly, I don't have any predictions either because I'm already towards the end of the book. And like, I'm just kind of like, all right, I just want to see what happens at this point. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not predicting anything at this point. I'm like, okay, she's a Valkyrie. She's whipping ass. I mean, I'm ready. I'm okay. Like,
I'm making t-shirts. All the t-shirts.
Thanks. But yeah, so like, well, for me, I have to finish the book. So the next episode will be the end of the book and the bonus chapter of Az's perspective.
Yes. And whatever book we pick
read
next.
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah.
I know you Sarah J. Maas fiends are telling us to do what is it? Throne of Glass. Throne of Glass is 8 books, bitch. That's a really big commitment.
It's a huge ass commitment, guys.
And then so is Crescent City because them thick.
Yo, those books are fucking textbooks from college. They're like thick.
With 3 C's and 2 K's. Thick. So, I don't know. We might have to take a break to come back to it, but we'll let you guys know.
Oh my god. I never realized how thick Crescent City was until somebody took it to the side and showed. I was like, God damn.
It's like that TikToker is like, my God, it's so thick. Why is there so much of it? Like, you can't even hold them together in one hand.
No. And then I heard that there's not any real spice in it.
I mean, that's what I heard.
I heard that it's a real YA book. That's what I heard.
Well, I'm okay with that as long as the story is like
good,
fiercely good. Yeah.
As long as like the tension is there and between the the main characters and the adventure or the fantasy or whatever is on point, then I'm cool with no spice.
That's why I'm so ready to get back to Siege and Storm, because the tension between Alina and the Darkling, I need it. So you guys, that is it for this episode. Next week, as Ashley mentioned, we are going to be finishing the book. So chapters 71 through 80, plus Azriel's bonus chapter. Now, if you do not have access to the extra content chapter because I sure as hell didn't.
Neither did I.
We will post it on our story for you on Instagram, so you can go ahead and click on it and read it.
Yes.
Because I was literally like, where the fuck is everybody making these assumptions about about Azriel and Gwen when I got nothing from the relationship in this whole book? Well, it is the bonus content chapter. So we'll post it up on our story so you guys can check it out. Don't forget to rate and review the podcast.
Yes.
I want to do a very, very special shout out to the people who have already rated and reviewed the podcast for us. Thank you. Thank you so much. So at Sarah Reads in Rock, at blessed.with.books or blessed.with.books, at Reading for Funsies, at Hey, it's Whit Lavon, at Cozy Blanket Reads, at Taylor Reads Books, at Brooks Read by Aileen, and at Heather Stokes Shush I Am Reading. You guys, thank you so much. We really, really appreciate it. Yes. Yeah. Also, guys, don't forget to follow us on social media at YA at Heart Podcast on Instagram and on TikTok.
Yes. So with that being said, we hope you guys enjoyed the episode. Stay tuned for next week's episode. We love you guys and always stay YA at heart. Bye.
Bye.